Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to check into it's Sunday night, April, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So what I want to do is I want to check on Tesla. Now, okay, so, okay, let's see if this comes up. Hello, Bueller. All right, there we are. I think we can see that now, hopefully. Yeah, so I had bought Tesla. Now, this is not financial advice. This is just kind of the stuff that I'm thinking through for myself. Don't listen to me. So basically, I had bought Tesla. I think it was last week. Yeah, last week. And I had bought it in because it had, gotten above the 50. And technically, it was looking like it was a little better here, but then it like squatted down that day. I had bought it. It looked like it was a better bar, and basically then it had a good day the next day, and then it's kind of like coming down. So in the big picture here, if I look at this thing, where are we at? So it's kind of interesting. So we have like, try to just draw some trend lines and stuff, see what's going on. Yeah, it's sort of like, this is not a trend line yet. You need 3 points, but it's sort of like definitely this is a consolidation here. And the thing that I sort of liked about what Tesla did is it did successfully break above the 50 and it's come up above the 50. So, we had this kind of W set up and then this little handle on the W, and then it did break up above the 50, and it was a pretty violent move. Like right here on that day, it was a pretty violent move up, right? Because it, like I was pointing out before, it's like, well, if this thing here failed at this resistance, but then it didn't come down too far, and that kind of sets it up. And especially at the 50, because if you're short, you probably, you might hold it. You might hold it here, but like if it breaks above the 50 and it breaks above resistance, then you kind of like, you may need to get the heck out of there, right? And so, we never really know. We don't know what really happened, but we just get to see what's on the chart. So the point is I bought it and I have some. And now the question is earnings are coming out on 4/26, which is, oh, geez, tomorrow. Oh, I think it's going to be after close, but I have to check on that. So the question is, what am I going to do with that? Oh gosh, 4/26. I need to check that. I don't think they would report on Monday, but I'll look at that again. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. Okay, so we're looking at this saying like, well, do I want to hold to earnings? And generally the answer is no. This is like a swing trade. I don't want to deal with earnings because basically what happens is often in many companies, it's just, you can't tell. It's like flipping a coin. It's like you don't want to. It's not how you trade stocks. It's not how you invest. You don't bet on flipping a coin. It just makes no sense. So what I did, look at this other chart. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to find a chart, and apparently this barchart.com has a chart where you can put the earnings dates on it. And so what's interesting, so I'm just trying to look back at the last earnings. So here you had the earnings, and it's hard to see, but basically it sold off a little bit, but the overall had very little effect. Sold off a little bit, flat, and then continued its run up. Here it sold off again, but then it kind of, flat, and then it really, I mean, overall, there seems to be like a little bit maybe of a downtrend, like immediately there's a negative reaction, but it doesn't really affect the long trend, right? And then, well, except for this one, see this earnings here, yeah, it was kind of bad reaction, and then it had this downtrend. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. So the thing is, it doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, conceptually, if I look at all these earnings and I try to like guess what's going to happen, it's just guessing. It's really just guessing. There's no way of saying. Like here, the earnings came out and like, boop, it sold off. And okay, so does that mean it's going to sell off now? No, it doesn't. So I don't know. So I think I'm still kind of torn. I don't know what to do. I think that it kind of stinks because I think I'm up on the position a little bit, which is good. But the other side of the coin is that I didn't make much, or I might have lost a little bit. Really flat. So I think what we have to do is we have to chalk this up to probably a bad decision, because basically I should have never bought. I should have known earnings were coming up and just like put it aside, because it doesn't make any sense to do that. I mean, I would suspect that it's probably just gonna like sell off a little bit, You know, overall in the big picture, it won't do any big damage or anything, but I just don't want to be around it because that's not the game. The game I'm playing is like just regular, you know, swings of the stock moving, not the dislocations. Because what happens on a like in earnings is what's really happening is like you get this sudden amount of information and basically creates kind of often creates a dislocation or a discontinuity, as we would call it. Like in math, you'd call it a discontinuity. And what really happens is, you know, when you're in a gap there, you know, you don't have information. It's like there's no, since there were no trades in there, there was really no information. It's sort of like a little black hole. You know, it's like what's going on. Now, the other thing I was looking at, you know, I used to have some of this silver, and I don't have any more of it. And because I just really was tired of waiting around for it. So basically in the big picture, I bought some there and whatever. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, this is holding the longer term averages, and then it came up above the 50. So, you know, it's interesting because silver is holding. I mean, you know, you look at it, it's just a huge consolidation for the last, what is this, 6 months to a year. So it's just a big consolidation. And I don't know, you know, because I hear the thing, the Wall Street bets, they're like trying to get people to buy the silver to break the London metals, is the LME or one or the other. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if there'll be some kind of a move on it. But I would say that from a purely technical point of view, I mean, it's not unreasonable to be like, you know, potential buy, because once again, you're above all the moving averages. Now, it's not great, right? The long term, this dotted orange line, long term is still up, but you know, your 50's down, your 21 days starting to pull up. But you know, like, so like if I was going to consider buying, you know, where would I consider buying? Let's see, I don't know. You know, it's like just trying to find a point, a leverage point. You know, you had resistance here, right? And you know, you have resistance at this gap here, and you know, then obviously at the previous highs. So this was a really volatile day there, and you look here, so you have all this resistance. But you know, basically the most recent one, this one right here. So if I would think if we break above this bar here, if we break above that high, then that might be a place to go in, because it would be really near this resistance too, and it really could, you know, potentially launch you into this gap resistance. So the point is, if it, you know, is able to like launch into that and overwhelm it, that's how you break through resistance. So that's kind of, I'm debating that. I don't know. I might throw some money at it. Maybe I'll sell some Tesla, lighten up on that, because for earnings, I don't want to be around it. And then maybe I'll put some in this. I don't know. We'll see. You know, you can see how hesitant I am. I'm not kind of sure. I think the problem is with all these, and I think if you kind of look at like me, Kevin, and you look at the stuff he's doing, you know, he's doing all this high conviction, and he just like cleaned up some of his portfolio and stuff, because I think what he realized is he's got stuff spread out all over the place, of course, but then he's also got, you know, a lot of stuff. Basically, you can take, if you over diversify, if you got stuff in too many places, you're just creating like, you know, an S&P 500, you know, and the question is, well, why do that? You know, I mean, at some point it's just like, well, just buy the S&P 500 and save yourself the headache if that's what you're doing. So, you know, you have to have your own strategy. You have to figure out what you want to do, and what your strategy is going to be. And then on the vesting side, what you're going to do. But the point is, if you're going to manage your own money or trade your own money, you know, you don't want to just do the S&P, do all this work and then end up being just the S&P 500, right? So you want to over concentrate in other things. Now he, of course, is over concentrated in the high beta stuff. So, and that's hurt a lot for him. He hasn't lost a lot of money per se. He's just given up a lot of gains. And, that's kind of that. So I think like, yeah, see, now this is interesting. Like Enphase popped above the 50, and this is how maybe, you know, this guy kind of turns around, you know. If I look at this guy, let's go to, is this a 3-month chart? Yeah, we could do a 3-month. One of the things I like about this charting package, like I know all these other people, these other charting, and you can just zoom in and zoom in and zoom out. And one of the things that I don't like about that is that you lose the perspective. From my perspective, if you just scale the y-axis randomly, if you're able to zoom in and zoom out like with finger pinching and stuff, the problem is from my perspective, it's kind of like you lose track of whether the move is becoming hyperbolic or not. And that's, of course, what the concern is on my part, is you really start losing that. You really start losing that perspective. So it makes it harder to tell whether the move is a more sustainable move or not a sustainable move. Now, this one's kind of good. You see, you have this is sort of, I would call it might be like a descending type of triangle. The tops are coming down, but look how it's kind of holding. Now, of course, once again, I cut that whole candle off, so that's technically not right. But the other thing is I'm trying to get a perspective. So I'm saying, well, look, it was really oversold there, so maybe it just punched through, but then it's still finding support. 2 times in a row, it found support there. Now I could go draw this a little differently and put it there, and then it's like, oh, it's a wedge. Is it a wedge? Or that's a good point. Is it a wedge or this? Well, I don't know. Who cares? Essentially, both sort of have a little bit of a negative implication, because you're talking. So now put all patterns away and just say, look, are you getting what's really going on in this here? You have lower highs, but you have an indeterminate nature from the fact that you have lower highs, but you don't have lower lows, right? You're maintaining the low. So that's why you're getting this compression. And so now it's breaking out here. So this is kind of interesting. This may be like a setup, because if it comes out of here and then maybe if it pulled back and found support at the 50 and it started pulling the 50 up, that could be something that would, maybe a swing trader might look into, something like that. So so that one and Tesla. So if you look at that one and Tesla, both kind of did similar moves. So they both have, they found a little strength. They found a little bit of, activity there, whereas a lot of these other ones haven't been as strong. So, so that's it for this one. Talk to you guys later. What to do with that Tesla? Need to think about it. Bye.